I'd like to call to order the April 10th, 2025 meeting of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. This call to order will also have an introduction as from here, right here, not formally, but we are so glad to welcome our newest board member, Craig Plank. And from speaking to him and knowing him for just through conversation, he will be a great asset to this body, and I know I speak for all of us that we warmly and enthusiastically welcome you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to take this moment to say, before your induction, that the strength of this board is seen today in this, your coming in to be a part of us, in the way that all of us are products of public people making public nominations of our names and bringing us to this board. The South Carolina Public Charter School District is so very strong in its board capacity, not just because of us, because of the wonderful people and institutions, the Speaker of the House, the School Boards Association, the EOC. This is the organic strength of the public face of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. So I'm just glad to be a part of that, and we all stand for people that nominated us, and now we serve in a public capacity, which is just outstanding. It's a recipe for excellence, so I thank you for this. Okay. Now I'll ask Dr. Pope to give the invocation. Thank you.
May we bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for bringing us here for the purpose of which you already know. We ask a special blessing on our Superintendent Neely, the board members, and the staff gathered here today. We pray that we will be a blessing to the children that we serve and that we will make decisions that are best in their interests. We thank you, dear Lord, for all that you have done for us and all that you continue to do for us. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as we go through this meeting. It is in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Jonathan will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we'll do this first. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And now we will have our Secretary Dexter Davis will now read our position and mission statement.
The South Carolina Public Charter School District embraces its state-appointed role as a distinct authorizer of public charter schools statewide. The South Carolina Public Charter School District authorizes, supports, and champions innovative K-12 public charter schools, ensuring quality educational opportunities for the parents and academic excellence for students, so every South Carolina child can reach their highest potential.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we will proceed with the swearing in, the oath of office, by our newest trustee, Craig Plank. Thank you. I want to call Dondi Plank up, well known in the Columbia metro area. Did we coordinate this? Yeah, pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. And Jackie Snell, who's going to service us with her professional. Yes, and Mr. Scott Price with the South Carolina School Board Association, from whence this nomination emanated.
If you'll please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of this state to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been appointed, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States. And defend
the Constitution of this United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That is funny. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, we'll now go for the roll call, and we'll have, glad to say, we'll have a new number in the mix.
Jonathan Butcher.
Here.
Dexter W.J. Davis. Here. Stephen Gilchrist.
I'm here.
Kip Miller.
Out of town.
Madam Chair.
Here.
Craig Plank.
Here.
Dr. Teresa Pope.
Here.
Dr. Billy Strickland.
Here.
Thank you. We will now move to the consent agenda. We'd like to take these two items separately, but quickly. Approval of the agenda for today's April 10th, 2025 meeting. We need a motion and a second to approve the agenda for
So
today's
moved, Madam
meeting.
Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any question or discussions? Hearing none, we will put the motion to a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, approval of the minutes for the March 13th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No questions. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Do we have any public comments? Madam Chair, we don't have any. Thank you. Any informational items? There is not a need for executive session today, correct? Okay. We will move right into our action items. Number one, Fox Creek Middle School Amendment. Kristen Farmer, Chief of Authorization and Development. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Trustees, please draw your attention to action item A as I provide a summary of the amendment memo. Fox Creek, a high-performing school in North Augusta, opened in the 2012 school year and renewed its charter in 2019. The school, which has earned an excellent report card rating and a 94% graduation rate, currently serves 660 students in grades 9 through 12 across Aiken and Edgefield counties. Fox Creek seeks approval to expand by adding middle school grades 6 through 8 in response to strong community and family demand. The proposed expansion will begin with approximately 400 students in the 26-27 school year, growing to 600 students by 2031. Enrollment will be capped at 1,400 students in middle and high school combined. The goal of the expansion is to provide a rigorous academic environment, equipping students with the knowledge, critical thinking skills, and adaptability to ensure a smooth transition from middle school to high school. Fox Creek has secured a $21.5 million USDA rural development loan to construct the new 55,000 square foot middle school facility on its existing property, scheduled to open in the fall of 2026. Financially, the school has demonstrated stability with no recent audit findings aside from a late submission in 2023. While the fund balance and cash reserves have declined slightly, financial projections indicate long-term sustainability. The school's projected budget takes a conservative approach, estimating state revenue while incorporating planned principal and interest payments for all 3 facility construction phases. Projections indicate a net positive financial position each year, allowing for continued growth of the fund balance while meeting facility financing obligations. District staff respectfully recommends that the PCSD Board of Trustees approve Fox Creek amendment request to add middle school beginning in the 2026 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. We need a motion and a second to approve Fox Creek Middle School Amendment. Do I hear?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
And Fox Creek's Executive Director Josh Trahan and the proposed middle school principal Tiffany Shepard are here with us today to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. Now, do we have any questions or comments we'd like to make?
A comment, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Having been on that campus, you would think that they had middle school going now. You do a great job at Fox Creek, so excited to see that expansion.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Just want you to be able to put a name with a face.
Yeah.
Ms. Shepherd's sitting a few rows back, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and thank you for the kind comments about the school. It's been a long development process. We started with about 118 kids, and now we're close to 700, and we've peaked that a couple of times. But any questions you might have, I'd love to answer.
Yes.
Yeah, just one. So, and not having the longitudinal financials in front of me, just the second bullet point, the fund balance down by 1.1. If you can just tell me.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, okay.
And I'd love to explain it all to you. So we have taken on several projects. We peaked at about 4 million at one point, and we have seen a decline due to several things. One is this past year we took on a couple of major capital improvement projects. We put in a turf field for our athletes because we were using one field for about 8 different sports, and it was becoming unsafe. Well, the minute we did that, of course, the parents wanted bleachers and a scoreboard and all of that fun that goes along with it. And so it's all capital improvement projects that have gone into that, and that's where you see that balance decline.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Pope.
Could you share a little bit about the demographics of the student body and the staff?
Yes, ma'am. I'd love to.
Okay.
And without having the exact numbers in front of me, I can't tell you the exact numbers, but I can tell you that we have seen a dramatic increase in the diversity of our student body since we were established, and not to correct it all, we actually opened in 2004. I've been there since 2007. Initially, there was minimal amongst the staff and the students. To date, I can tell you that we are close to probably 80% white and 20% other backgrounds. As far as our staff goes, I would tell you it's more 60-40. We've got a number of individuals from different backgrounds that work with us. So we have seen improvements there. I think we've become more accessible. When we originally opened, we were at Exit 1 in North Augusta. We were there for 5 years. When we moved to Exit 5, and that's where this proposed project is going, I think it became more accessible in its location. It was easier to get to, more populated area around us.
Is it true that you only have 2 black staff members?
No, ma'am, I know that's not true. I can name several right offhand.
Certified staff?
Certified staff? No. Well, there's at least 3. One gentleman is finishing his certification now. No, 4, because another gentleman that's there. 5. Honestly, I'm sitting here putting it together while we're talking.
Okay.
It's okay. It's not something I dwell on. You know, when we hit hiring season and that type of thing, we're looking for best candidates and so on and so forth. But no, ma'am, I would say we're probably closer to 5 or 6. Now, they fall in different categories. When we talk about traditionally certified, that's not always the case. Like the young lady who does our health science department, she handles health science. She was a nurse, and so we hired her with that background, and she went through the CAPE process of becoming certified. And so she would be another individual.
Any further questions?
No.
No? That's a good question. Any questions? Yes. Coach.
Again, y'all do a wonderful job. I agree with Trustee Dexter Davis saying it's what a great job and a good report. One of the things when reading through it, you know, you secured approval for a $21.5 million loan from the USDA Office of Rural Development. And I have no insight or whatever, but, you know, anything regulated with the federal government right now is a period of a little unknown. And I was just going to ask, you know, and I'm sure y'all thought through this for a backup plan or whatever.
Yes,
You'll address that.
Oh, I'd love to.
Please, sir.
And I'll tell you, we are typically go-getters at Fox Creek, and so we often put the cart before the horse. And so we have actually, that was secured back in September. before we saw a lot of changes. We got the letter of conditions from the USDA. We've not heard anything from them with any concern. I know, there's some minor concerns with like groundbreaking and them being able to travel out and that type of thing that didn't happen before. But actually, I was cutting up, we found our third-party lender a year ago, March 25th. And so we've had things in the works now for quite some time, and we've not heard anything concerning about where that falls. Our bigger battles have been with things like gaining access to pumping sewage, because there's an issue with the local Horse Creek. We've got a plan for that. DOT has now come back and requested turn lanes. We're dealing with that. More of that fun stuff than the other.
Thank you. And again, you're down the road, which is a positive thing with the third-party lender.
Yes, sir.
You've moved ahead, so that's a great sign.
Yes, sir.
And not to be negative or anything, but I know, so y'all on top of that. So
Yes, sir.
thank you for your answer.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So I'm new to the board, new to the schools. I look forward to getting to know you better. If I did recall reading that where the first 2 years are interest only on the note, is that correct?
That is correct.
And if you tell me then with you've explained the capital expenditures that have dwindled, I guess, the reserve fund, what does year 3, 4 look like? Is there a dip in and having to tap into reserve before it comes back out? Just curious on financial.
No, sir. Well, I'll be honest with you, that's kind of where we have been the last little bit. We've seen some changes and some good changes, and not all of that has impacted every school in the same way. But we've managed these capital improvement projects, which has been good, so we're not seeing a lot of output there. One of the parts with the USDA loan, it was $2.5 million. But the first $750,000 we had to put into that, so that's another form of capital improvement that we've had to come off of those dollars. So now, really, once we get the building established, they include, when you use the USDA, you have to include things like FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment in that loan. So it should pretty well establish the building, and our contractor has been brilliant about adding things to it. They build lots of schools, especially in our area. So we don't see a lot of overhead there. I think the bigger things to be concerned about as we open it are making sure that we have a number of students that can allow us to meet our mortgage obligation and then our salary obligations. And we're starting small on that end. We've started by appointing Ms. Shepard about a month ago through our board to be the principal, and then we're handling things carefully there. We will staff accordingly, but we'll begin enrollment this fall so that we can stay ahead of that. We always try to err on the side of leaving money in the bank as opposed to using it up. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I just have, it's not a question, but I want to just applaud you on this. I think this is an outstanding mantra, I guess, of your school. The school's goal is accomplished by establishing academic excellence, providing a moral focus, and obtaining parental involvement. And on the other side, I'll say this, the mathematical side, the financial side, the school had no financial audit findings in the last 3 audit reports. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Summer's always a nerve-wracking time, but we try to make sure that we clean things up
Yep.
well.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. For the Fox Creek Middle School amendment. We will now put that to a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Now we will hear South Carolina Pathways Project Innovative Course Approval. Susan.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. In your board packet today, you have 2 innovative approaches of course sequence application. One is for English 1, the entrepreneur's voice, and one is for English 2, the financially literate voice. You also have an executive summary summarizing both applications. Earlier this year, if you recall, Deputy Superintendent Emily Baker and I were in front of you informing you of our district's participation in the South Carolina Pathways Project. We are one of 5 districts participating in this federally funded grant. The purpose of the grant is to enhance post-secondary outcomes for students with disabilities. Even though this grant is focusing on outcomes for students with disabilities, Our implementation of this initiative will impact all students. Outlined in our memorandum of agreement with the state and local partners of the South Carolina Pathways Project, the district has committed to designing and implementing a career and technical education, or CTE, pathway to a diploma. In alignment with this commitment, the CTE pathway to a diploma consists of individually approved, innovative courses designed to have a CTE focus while maintaining the rigor and robust nature of the Carnegie units required to achieve a diploma in South Carolina. If approved by the Board of Trustees, those applications will then be submitted to the South Carolina Department of Education for approval. As part of the overall diploma pathway, we will also have English 1, 2, 3, 4, and reasoning and mathematics, also integrated specific courses within the general management completer pathway, and applications for these courses will be submitted separately. All innovative courses will be combined then to create a CTE pathway to a diploma. So as a result, I will be before you again in the future, adding additional courses and then the overall pathway application. Students in this diploma pathway will experience opportunities in 3 ways. 1, to promote enrichment of practical learning capabilities by connecting abstract and rigorous English standards to concrete business management applications. 2, to harness hands-on learning aptitudes of the student population through an integrated curriculum that makes academic content more accessible and engaging. And 3, emphasizing exploration and application of career interests to motivate academic persistence, because clear pathways and support to completion are intentionally established. If approved by our Board of Trustees, High Point Academy is the first PCSD school scheduled to implement the innovative courses at their high school level. And upon the timeline of completion and approval, it will be for next year. English 1, the entrepreneur's voice, will be taken simultaneously with entrepreneurship, and English 2, the fiscally literate voice, will be taken simultaneously with personal finance, ensuring academic relevance through real-world applications. The pathway is designed to support students by incorporating work-based learning and apprenticeships, equipping them with high school diploma, career and/or college readiness, and CTE credentials. While the goal for students to complete the full pathway is there, they may enter or exit at any point in time. The district remains committed to innovative solutions that enhance student engagement, improve graduation rates, and prepare all students for college and/or career readiness. Typically, the approval of an innovative coursework will happen at the local charter school board level, but with our Board of Trustees approval, this will be a district initiative and any school can implement this project. You also, in your executive summary and in the applications, you see the big picture pathway and how it integrates the CTE program we've identified. Staff respectfully recommend that the Board of Trustees approve the 2 innovative course sequence applications for for English 1, the entrepreneur's voice, and English 2, the financially literate voice, with permission to make non-material changes as deemed necessary. That may include any action not requiring the district to pay additional funding, having increased liability, or require a substantial amount of work. That concludes my information, pending any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. We need a motion and a second to approve the South Carolina Pathways Project Innovative Course as recommended by staff.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Now we can proceed with any questions?
Yes.
Yes. Any questions?
I have a
Madam Chair,
question.
go ahead. Trustee Davis, please.
You mentioned disabilities when you first started the conversation. Is it this set aside for students with disabilities or with IEPs?
Well, it'd be students with IEPs. It's coming through a federally funded grant. We have certain outcomes that we have to achieve of having students with IEPs enrolled in this process, but as we implement it, it's a general education initiative, so it will have students without IEPs, could also include students with 504s.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Gilchrist.
First of all, let me congratulate you on this program. I think it's an excellent opportunity for students, particularly those who have been impacted by 504s and IEPs. How did we identify the school, the first participant in the program?
That's a great question. So the State Department of Education has a team that they have supporting us in this process, and they, with their data and the data we had of schools implementing current CTE programs, we identified a few schools. I reached out to them for their interest level, and High Point was extremely welcoming in this process, and they've been an integral partner in all of our development of the coursework and the planning. The goal is to kind of, I think, once it's established and we have more approval from the State Department and it's starting to get implemented, then to this summer to be reaching out to additional high schools, because we picked this CTE program, there's not a lot of startup cost. We don't need equipment and all these other things to do it,
Sure.
so we're hoping it will catch on to other high schools.
What is the timeline on the full implementation of it? Have you guys been given that yet?
So my timeline is to submit this, because we have to have board approval and signatures, to submit the applications to the State Department by the end of next week.
Okay.
They indicate they have a 30-day turnaround. To my knowledge, we have not had any participating LEAs yet to receive approval. We expect feedback, some corrections. We would like to implement it in the fall, but High Point Academy is ready to delay if needed to second semester, but it's implemented next year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, great. These were great questions.
Madam Chair, if I
Yes, yes.
With the grant money that I see, and this flows through to 2029,
Yes.
is that right? Typically, when you have grant money like that, that then sunsets, there's always concern about the funding element of it after the fact, especially if FTEs are involved. What does that look like in this situation? Is that something that, when funding sunsets, if there's additional needs for that, funding at the school level? Tell me about that.
We don't anticipate any funding at the school level. The funding that we've received, the $76,000 to date, and we're kind of on a year-to-year basis, we've been semi-commitment of additional 30 every year, is really to implement other initiatives of this project. The diploma pathway is not the only element, and it's really more for contracted services. We had 2 committees come in to help draft. I did not create this product by myself. We had a lot of stakeholders, High Point Academy and other schools represented in this initiative. And so it's to pay the contract work, to kind of make sure that our product was high quality and still meeting the profile of a South Carolina graduate.
Great, thank you.
So no, I don't expect any additional cost.
Thank you. So let me ask you, how is it that was it our initiation that brought this to us? How did it?
That's a long story.
Oh, it's a long-
So we, Superintendent Neely had a brainchild that he would like this explored, and this was a few years ago. And
Now, I believe that. I
Yes,
believe
yes. And together with John Payne and I, we reached out to the State Department and had a call inquiring, because we were exploring doing this by ourselves. And it was a big initiative to do independently. And that's when the State Department of Education, the Director of Special Education Services said, wait a second, we have an initiative, we're waiting on a grant. So just pause for a second, and then they did receive the grant, and they asked us to participate as one of 5 districts, and we jumped on it.
Well, that is just a great story. We just applaud you, it's great. Because it was a little subtle here. As one of 5 participating districts, no, we're the leading district.
We would like to say we are, yes, but there's a
We
lot
like
of
to
members.
say you are.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to figure.
Susan's our quarterback.
I love it. Okay, so we have, any other questions prompted from that? Any questions? We have a motion and a second, and we will now put the motion to a vote. All in favor of approving the South Carolina Pathways Project innovative course as recommended by staff, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to Sea Islands Heritage Academy Financial Update Report and Recommendations by John R. Payne. Thank you.
Madam Chair, trustees, please turn your attention to action item C in your board packet. On April 27, 2023, the board approved Sea Island Heritage Academy's charter for a place-based charter school serving grades 6 through 12 on St. Helena Island in Beaufort County. The school projected 150 students in year 1, 75 each in 5th and 6th grades, and it opened in August of this past year, or August of 2024. Today, the staff recommends or requests a motion to approve our request to issue a notice of revocation. The school does not oppose this recommendation today, but does reserve the right to request a hearing.
Thank you. We need a motion and a second to approve the issuance of a notice of revocation to Sea Island Academy effective June 30th, 2025, as recommended by staff.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now we'll proceed with any questions. Any questions? Well, I just want to say the patience and professionalism with which this district has handled this issue, I think is so appreciated by us and probably also appreciated by the people at Sea Island Heritage who knew what they were facing, and so sometimes things come and things go. So anyway, we thank you for this. The board, having concluded its deliberations, we will now put this to a vote. All in favor to approve the issuance of notice of revocation, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you for all the work that you've done on this. Thank you.
Moving along, Madam Chair.
To withdraw, yes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if you will, and trustees, if you will now turn your attention to action item D in your board packets. On February 1st, 2025, Rooted Schools Columbia submitted an application for a charter school aligned to the National Rooted Schools Foundation model, proposing a location here in Columbia, South Carolina. The school was designed to support students in grades 6 through 12 with a year 1 projected enrollment of 260 students in grades 6 and 9. After careful consideration, Rooted Schools Columbia Founding Committee has decided not to proceed with a request to establish a charter school at this time and wishes to voluntarily withdraw the application for the 2025 cycle. District staff supports this decision. As such, staff recommends that the Board of Trustees accept the voluntary withdrawal of Rooted Schools Columbia application for the 2025 charter application cycle.
Thank you. We need a motion and a second to deny the Rooted School Columbia charter application as recommended by staff and recognize the withdrawal.
So moved, Madam Chair. Second.
Second, thank you. Is there any discussion? This is a situation that has been well looked at through you all. It hasn't really come to us very much, and so now we place our trust in you on this and our appreciation for your diligence in these matters. The board will now put the motion to a vote. All in favor to deny the Rooted School Columbia application as recommended by staff, and would we say accept the withdrawal? And accept their withdrawal, their voluntary withdrawal. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Madam Chair and trustees, if you will turn your attention to action item E in your board packets regarding Palmetto Excel. As you know, you've received regular updates on the communications about this. At this time, I will turn this item over to Superintendent Neely for comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this matter. What we are addressing today is not easy. It's uncomfortable, it's complex, but it is necessary. This is a moment that calls on us to balance two responsibilities: passion for the students and educators we serve, and fidelity to the laws and standards that govern South Carolina's charter schools. As your certified superintendent, I'm committed to honoring both. Today's recommendation regarding the Palmetto Excel pilot program is not about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about meeting our legal obligations with professionalism, transparency, and integrity. Let me begin by saying I have been one of the strongest supporters publicly of this pilot program since it first was proposed to us. When the management company, Palmetto Goodwill, approached the district with the idea of launching an adult-focused charter high school, we saw something courageous and long overdue. Adults who had aged out of traditional K-12 still wanted to earn a diploma, and they deserved that opportunity. We believed in the mission. I believed in it. And I still believe that adults deserve educational choice just like children and families. That belief is why I brought one of the school's first students, Katrina Simmons, to testify with me before the House Ways and Means Subcommittee. Katrina had earned her GED in the 1990s, but still dreamed of walking across the stage with a high school diploma in her hand. This pilot program gave her that hope and reminded us all why second chances matter. In op-eds I've written for the Post and Courier and the state newspaper, I've made the case that charter schools must be a part of South Carolina's long-term workforce and education strategy. Adult education is central to that vision, and I remain personally and professionally invested in it. That said, we must speak honestly about what happened in the first year of this pilot program. There were real concerns about the awarding of excessive credits, transcript irregularities, and the failure to implement a proficiency-based instructional model approved by the state as outlined in the school's charter. These concerns were not raised by the district alone. They were raised by the South Carolina Department of Education and the governor's office. They were legitimate and they required attention. But I also want to be clear, these issues were the result of a prior administration. The individuals responsible are no longer associated with the school. Since the appointment of Amy Mills as board chair and Dr. Jeremy Easley as school leader, we've seen significant progress. The tone has changed, communications have improved, and the program is stabilizing. Amy has shown steady, principled leadership, and Jeremy has taken on a difficult task with professionalism and humility. I want to thank both of them for their commitment and hard work, and they're joining us here today. To fully understand today's recommendation, I want to offer a broader perspective through an analogy. Imagine a car accident at a busy intersection. 4 people stand on 4 different corners. Each sees the event unfold from a different angle. Each perspective is real, but only part of the full truth. At the center of the intersection is the Palmetto Excel pilot program. Inside the vehicle are the adult learners, the ones who place their trust in this model and are trying to finish what they started. On one corner stands Palmetto Goodwill, the management company. They introduced a national model, stepped into this work in good faith, and believed the policy and funding framework would be in place to support it. On another corner are the lobbyists. Many of them I've worked with for over 35 years. Their advocacy has been strong, and though the dialogue has sometimes been intense, I hold no ill will. When people are passionate about a cause, that passion can spill over. But I respect their commitment and welcome future collaboration in support of students. On the third corner stands our policymakers, including the governor's office and the Department of Education. What began as broad support gradually turned to concern, particularly around oversight and sustainable funding. After our October 2024 meeting with the governor's office to propose our budget, we were asked to submit a letter requesting that the district be removed from the adult education funding proviso for Palmetto Excel, with the understanding that the school's funding would remain. The governor's executive budget reflected that. The House later reinstated the district. The Senate removed both. Each version was different, and the cumulative effect has been confusion and instability. And on the fourth corner stands the district. We supported the pilot. We advocated for it. But when we were asked to stand down by the General Assembly, we did. Since then, we've worked to follow the law, maintain accountability, and protect the students and the taxpayers we serve. With so many conflicting signals, we find ourselves stepping in not to criticize, but to provide clarity. In its first year, Palmetto Excel received approximately $1.3 million in public funding and produced 13 graduates. That's $100,000 per diploma, which is shocking. However, this year, even though still constrained by the need to correct issues from the first year, the school appears to be on pace to approximately double the number of diplomas it will award. That is obviously still not nearly what was promised in the charter, but they are trending in the right direction. And there is work to do on the workplace credentials and dual enrollment as well. Nonetheless, as everyone has acknowledged from the outset, this pilot project cannot become permanent based on a single campus. It is not financially viable for the school or the district, and not a good investment for the state. And that leads us to where we are today. After our notice of intent to revocate last week, we received a letter from the school legal counsel expressing a desire to work together to find a path forward. We welcome that spirit. It reflects the tone we need. This is not about tearing down a vision. It's about giving the vision a real chance to succeed. So now I close with a question, not just for this board, but for those who may be watching and listening in positions of authority. Does the General Assembly and the governor want charter schools to be a part of South Carolina's adult education future? If the answer is yes, then this program and the additional campuses we've already approved in Sumter and Spartanburg must be fully and sustainably funded. If the answer is no, we respect that, but let us be clear and honest so that the school can pursue a new future outside of the charter framework. Either way, we need direction. And until we have it, we must do our part to provide clarity and accountability with compassion. Therefore, Madam Chair and members of the board, in accordance with our responsibilities and in the spirit of transparency and partnership, the staff respectfully recommends that the board vote to issue a formal notice of revocation for Palmetto Excel effective June 30th, 2025, in accordance with the district's school closure protocol due to the ongoing uncertainty surrounding funding support and clarity of purpose from the General Assembly and governor, and include in that notice the potential for the district to negotiate a memorandum of agreement with the school's board, contingent upon the identification of adequate and sustainable funding that would allow the school to continue operating under its current charter for the 2025-2026 school year, solely for the purpose of securing a stable, long-term funding structure for the remainder of the charter term. The MOA would include an express provision that if adequate funding is not secured by the time of passage of the FY 2026-2027 state budget, the school would voluntarily surrender its charter, with all operations concluding no later than June 30th, 2026. Let us move forward not in conflict, but in cooperation, with humility, with clarity, and as always, with students at the center of every decision we make. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could applaud here, I think we all, in our hearts, we are. Now, we need a motion and a second, but let me be sure. This is the exact language you want.
Yes, in addition to the MOA.
In addition to, that should be added?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
So, Madam Chair, I'll
Yes.
make a motion.
yes.
So I move that the board would issue a notice of revocation for Palmetto Excel North Charleston, Palmetto Excel Sumter, and Palmetto Excel Spartanburg, effective June 30th, 2025, or, as Superintendent Neely was saying, in the alternative and contingent upon adequate funding, authorizes staff to negotiate an MOA with the school to operate under its current charter for the school year 25-26 for the sole purpose of finding a stable source of continuing funding for the remainder of the charter term, with the express agreement that the school will voluntarily terminate its charter as of June 30th, 2026, if it is unable to secure the necessary funding.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Strickland, do you have any?
No. That
Question
was
for
a
a
form of a
second.
motion, so we need a second.
Second.
Yes, second, okay. All of us have heard the statement, and well thought through, covering everything. So this is what we will vote on. We have we need a motion and a second. We have a second. We will now call for any questions pertinent to this statement.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a quick question. What is the authorization period that we're in with this particular charter school? Does it end, so we have a 10-year authorization, is that right?
We're in year 2.
Okay, year 2, okay, all right.
Okay. So, let me just see where we are. So this is what we will be voting on, and I know everybody has now seen it. Yes? Okay. Any questions pertinent to this? No? All in favor of the motion as written, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Statement passes unanimously. And thank you for this. Thank you for all the thought that went into this and trying to thread this needle of promoting education for all categories of people. Thank you. That was beautiful. We go from beautiful to actual with the financial reports, the February 2025 financial report from Nick Michael. Thank you, Nick.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. At the end of February, we expect 33.33%, or 1/3 of the general fund budget to remain. We are currently at 33.77%. My report will show the district is operating at a net gain for the month, increasing our fund balance for the year. If you flip over to page 2 of my report, this is the district-wide income statement, which includes general fund state aid to classrooms revenue transferred to our schools, which is the majority of state revenue our schools receive. Through February 28th, the district received over $136.2 million in revenue, with total expenditures of over $136 million, which equals a net gain of $172,303 through February 28th. Of the revenue received, over $132.5 million was sent to our schools under the state aid to classrooms line, and for any that participate in the South Carolina retirement system. And as always, we continue our focus to advocate for additional state funding, since our schools don't receive local tax support. Flipping over to page 3 of my report. This is the income statement for the district office only, which includes general fund revenue recorded for our state-mandated 2% authorizing fee, donations, interest income, and any other local sources. For the month of February, the district recorded over $555,000 in revenue, over $486,000 in expenditures, which equates to a net gain of $68,930 for the month. This increases our fund balance to $2,701,080, or an additional $182,943 for the year. This increase also includes our 45-day membership update. Moving on to page 4 of my report, this breaks down the district's budget and expenditures by department. Leadership has a budget of over $1.6 million, with expenditures of over $1 million, resulting in 34% remaining. Sponsor Performance has a budget of over $1.1 million, expenditures of over $788,000, with 34% remaining. Support and Implementation has a budget of over $1 million, expenditures of over $709,000, with 31% remaining. External Affairs has a budget of over $621,000, expenditures of over $390,000, with 37% remaining. And lastly, Financial Services and Human Resources has a budget of over $835,000, expenditures of over $539,000, with 35% remaining. The last 2 pages of my report is a statement generated monthly by the State Department of Education, which includes all state funding calculated for the district. Of the $250.5 million current allocation, $243.7 million is under the state aid to classrooms line, which is approximately 97.31% of the revenue received. Madam Chair, this concludes my February financial report, and I respectfully request board approval at this time.
Thank you. We need a motion and a second to approve the February 2025 financial report as recommended by staff.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Nick?
Madam
Question?
Chair.
Yes.
Just have a question. Some of this maybe catch up, and you guys may say, oh, we know what that is. But on the February 25, where it says miscellaneous income on page 2, $103,038, compared to February of last year at $22. I'm just curious, what is miscellaneous income? What's it?
Sorry, we're having a technical issue with the presentation.
That was page 2 at the top, first column.
All right, so the miscellaneous income,
Yeah, 103,038 for 25 and $22 for 24.
yes, so the difference of that is we received some additional state funding that we transferred over to our general fund.
Okay. Does that happen year in and year out, or is that here and there?
It was related to state assessment revenue that we received,
Okay,
so it will occur in the future, yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Yes. Any other questions? Billy?
No.
No. Okay.
Good.
You're over there drinking, not, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Thank you. So the board will now put the motion to a vote to approve the February 2025 financial report as recommended by staff. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Now we will go to the first reading fiscal year 2025-26 budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair and
Thank you.
board members. The first reading of the 2026 general fund budget is based on the House version, which includes our current 45-day membership counts, adding 2 new schools, increasing the state minimum teacher salary to $48,500, interest on our investments, and the mandated 2% state appropriation. Projected revenue for operating the district office includes $450,000 in interest revenue, $5.1 million from the state aid to classrooms line, $14,000 to serve pre-K students, and $9,700 for serving 3- and 4-year-old students with disabilities. This equates to $5,573,700 in projected general fund revenue for the year. Flipping over to the expenditure side, this includes a 3% cost of living increase to reward staff for operational excellence, bringing IT and Power School support back in-house, and increasing from 32 to 38 FTEs to provide additional school support. The cost of adding FTEs to support IT and Power School is a significant savings for the district as compared to what we're currently paying for outsourcing. Looking at the expenditure overview versus the current year, salaries are increasing 14.89%, benefits increase 15.15%. Purchase services decrease 8.23%, property services decrease 30.17%, travel decreases 5.58%, other services decrease 41.3%, supplies decrease 15.38%, and other objects decrease 56.83%, for a total increase of 5.28% across the board. The changes are due to adding the FTEs and reducing the outsourcing of these services. Flipping over to the next page, revenue versus expenditures. We are anticipating a balanced budget with an increase of 5.28% in revenue and that additional 5.28% in expenditures. Madam Chair, this concludes the first reading of the FY26 general fund budget, and I respectfully request board approval at this time.
Thank you. We need a motion and a second to approve the first reading fiscal year 2025-26 budget as recommended by staff.
So moved.
And we need a motion and a second.
Second.
Second. Any questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So I'd been talking to Mr. Michael a little earlier, but just want to get clarification on this. In the difference between fiscal year 25 versus 26 would have been about $280,000 between the budget for this past year and then the proposed budget amounts to about 5%, which is about $280,000, and we're projecting an interest income of $450,000. I guess if you would speak to the security of that, the confidence in that, because if that were to vary, then we may be looking at to either adjust expenditures or the unrestricted fund balance.
Yes, so all of these revenue projections are very conservative. In the current year, we budgeted $450,000. We're actually going to bring in closer to $500,000. In looking at the state aid to classrooms line, that's a very conservative number at $5.1 million. That number is only based on our current 45-day membership plus adding the 2 new schools. That does not include growth in our current schools, which I'm anticipating at least a 2,000 increase in our weighted pupil unit, which the state did not include in their budget forecast.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Nick,
I have
let me.
a comment,
Yes,
Madam Chair.
yes.
I'm glad enough we're bringing Power School back in. Some things were compromised last year, I know, through our school, so it's great to see that we're bringing that back in-house.
I'm so pleasantly surprised at the expenditure overview that and these are basically because we have brought things back home, or could you just elaborate a little bit more on?
Sure,
because-
absolutely. The salaries are pretty straightforward. That's just the salaries that we're anticipating with the 3% cost of living increase, plus the additional 6 FTEs. Benefits are a little bit higher because we don't know the actual benefit cost for those 6 FTEs because it's based on individual family circumstances on what benefits that they're actually going to select. So I just utilize an average of 48% across the board, which is a little bit higher than the average. But going along the lines of all of these other services, you see a significant decrease in the service portion because we're bringing the IT back in-house and the Power School. Additionally, because we've been in this building for several years now, there's less of a need for additional services and supplies and materials because we have purchased a lot of items already.
Well, that's very significant, so congratulations, yes. Yes.
And again, it's very, excuse me, very positive budget, but Nick, or Superintendent Neely, to speak that we're very early, and of course, we're following the rules that we need to do with the budget because this is the House. We may see a different budget from the Senate, which we, over the years, we normally do, and we won't comment on that, but, you know, it's early in the process. And, you know, some of these numbers could change.
That is correct.
Better, or it could go opposite. So,
One thing I'll say is, under the new funding formula, as long as we continue to grow as a district in terms of students, revenues continue to increase. And as Nick said, I mean, we're at 21,600 students today, but we're looking to add another 2,000 plus students, you know, next year. So that's a good thing. I would also say that, yes, it is an increase in 6 new FTEs, but it's really only an increase of net 4 because this year we're actually 2 less than we had last year. So this year we have 32 FTEs. Last year we had 34. Bringing the IT part in-house is going to increase that up to 38. But I know Trustee Plank didn't have the the knowledge last year of seeing that we actually went down 2 FTEs in this current fiscal year. But I would also say on the investments that through the LCHIP account, through the state, Nick and the finance team have done just an amazing job leveraging the district's resources to enable the staff to have the capacity to be able to support our schools.
Thank you. I just saw a smile.
And again, I think even with the proposed budget currently shows that for the first time, employees will pay I think $36 a month for insurance. The governor has echoed his displeasure to that, and I think will the House take that up? Because then you give them a raise and then you decrease the money for that. And I think it's the first time that employees would be asked to do that. So, that's sometime a negative, and I think, it's a challenging budget year, but thank you for a positive start. And as you said, Superintendent Neely, it's always good when you got great growth. And when you got the growth, it's an easier budget, because majority of school districts around the state certainly don't have anything like that.
And not only do we have great growth next year, but we have 6,000 students on our wait list.
Right.
So, there's great demand there. The problem we have is our schools can't grow fast enough to accommodate all those families.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval of the first reading of fiscal year 2025-26 budget as recommended by staff, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. With that, we'll move it on to the superintendent's report. Okay, sure, yes.
It's here. Tim. Gotcha. So there,
Madam Chair, trustees, I will start by giving you some updates on sponsor performance, some of the things that we've been up to since our last meeting last month. So obviously, as you know, we are in the middle of the application cycle. So we have been doing the application reviews. We also have been working with our Year Zero schools with respect to them submitting their pre-opening conditions, as well as looking at all of our procedures, processes, and to review those and identify if there are opportunities for us to even improve them more. In terms of data reporting, we have successfully completed and submitted the CRDC, which is the Civil Rights Data Collection. That is a federally required data collection that school districts must complete typically every other year. This year it was 2 consecutive years. We are also working with our schools and notifying them and making sure that they're aware that the school climate survey, which is a metric of the state report cards, those surveys are currently open and closed tomorrow. And so we've been working with our schools just to make sure that they're having their faculty, their students, and their parents complete those surveys. We've begun as well working on the 135th day funding reports, and believe it or not, getting ready to gear up for the end of the school year. In terms of some data analysis, we have done some analysis on our school leaders and school board surveys that I believe Ms. Paul will talk about in just a little bit. We've been doing some analysis with our enrollments and really identifying by zip code where we're seeing kind of our students in South Carolina, and we will share that with you in a coming meeting. We've been reviewing all of our schools' annual reports and as well as crunching some data on student outcomes. As Superintendent Neely mentioned last month and Nick mentioned just a moment ago, and transitioning away from our Carity partner and bringing this work in-house, we have posted our jobs and resume reviews for the 3 positions. And that will include an IT manager, a Power School administrator, and a Power School coordinator. So those 3 positions will enable us to fulfill the Power School side of the house as well as our IT side of the house. as well as making sure that we're ensuring the security of our IT environment here at the district. I will say that with respect to the IT manager position, we have received over 90 applications for that job. And in reviewing those applications, I have been really just blown away, quite honestly, at the breadth and the depth and the quality of those applicants. So without question, we know that folks want to come to the Charter District and work. So we're excited to begin those interviews here shortly. To lead this work, we have elevated Josh Finley.
Yeah, Josh.
If you'll stand up. We've elevated Mr. Finley to the position of Chief of Data Accountability and IT, and Josh is equal to the task, and we've already begun having weekly or multiple weekly meetings with our Canty partner as we're beginning this transition. And just a word about some of Josh's contributions, some of the things that he's done. One, that CRDC report, we got 100% error-free when we submitted it to the federal government, and that's really quite something in terms of submitting that report to the federal government. Josh has also been able to identify a number of instances where our schools maybe don't have a student coded correctly, which means coded correctly, they get more money. And so we've been working with our schools to make sure that they're coding these kids correctly in PowerSchool so that they get all the money that they're entitled to. So we really appreciate Josh's contributions to the district. And pending any question, Madam Chair, that's the end of my update.
Thank you.
Just one, Madam Chair. Would it be possible to see the school climate surveys? Could we see the results of those?
Yes, sir, they will. So the climate surveys will be coming in, and they will, once they get that, they will produce those back-end data reports from the department, and we will be, when those come in, we will put that together and share that with you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Good question. Yes? Did you
Oh, no.
No, okay. Now we will hear from Emily Baker, Support and Implementation Update.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Susan's going to talk to you again. So we have talked in 2 previous months about growing the board's capacity and understanding different federal grants. We have already covered Title I and Title II, so Susan is going to cover with you quickly Title III.
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Title III is a section of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and what we really like to refer to as supporting multilingual learners and students of immigrant status. There's 2 primary objectives fundamentally of this federal law, and it's making sure that students have English proficiency, and the goal is within 5 years, and that they meet an academic standard in the state that they reside. There's a district requirement with the funding to ensure those things happen, but also to implement policies and best practices for those identified populations. There's a way and an established process for students to be qualified as multilingual learner. Every state sets those parameters. In South Carolina, there is an enrollment survey that is done. When students enroll, there's 2 parts to it. The second part is only done when they're newly enrolled in a South Carolina public school. So it's done one time. That triggers, based on some questions, it just triggers, should a student be screened? If the student's screened then they're either eligible or not eligible. If they are eligible, they're eligible until they take a proficiency exam. That's every winter, to determine if they have exited out of the program. The 4 domains that they would look at are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If they are proficient in that exam, then they are monitored by the local district where they are enrolled for 4 years.
For 4 years?
For 4 years, yes. As a district, we monitor this program. Schools have a lot of autonomy, but we ensure requirements and best practices are in place.
Thank you. Questions?
Any questions?
I have 3, actually. So in just district services, so aside from the federal component of this, and this you may not have an answer for it, so if you need to get it later, that's fine. So in just district spending on these services for multilingual and English proficiency, what does the district spend?
The district, we have a staff member that oversees the program, Chichi Abando. It's probably 3/4 of her job description is doing this program, but we receive federal funding annually based on the 80th day count of students enrolled that are classified as multilingual. We do not get funding based on monitored students.
So is her salary just paid with federal money?
Her salary is actually paid out of general fund. She was initially onboarded using ESSER funds, and then we transferred her over to general fund.
So that's, okay, so it's district spending now. Okay, thanks.
And then, but to clarify, the majority of the funds that our schools are allocated for multilingual learners are not spent on service provision. It is a very rigid and restrictive grant of how you can, the allowability.
If it's not for service provision, what is it? What is it
Typically for curriculum, increasing credentials of staff at the school level to be properly certified, because South Carolina does not require a multilingual instructor to be ESOL certified. They just have to be certified in the grade band of that multilingual learner.
Thanks. How much overall do we get for Title III?
It ranges year to year, and it ranges, our population keeps on increasing in the small increments, but it's anywhere from 69,000 to 90,000. And then this year, we also received additional funds for immigrant funding. We had not received it, it was 3 years ago we received it also, and they look at trends of 3 years for districts for increased immigrant populations. So we just received that funding also.
All right, last one. So, and I don't know if you have this figure, so I can get it later too. So what is that per child? So if you're 69 to 90,000, do you know about what that winds up being per child in the district? And if maybe you can just tell me how many kids do we have, and then we can just do the math.
So we have, this year, it's 1,220 were identified. Remember, that's the 180th day, so that's the last day coded in PowerSchool for last year. The year before that was 1,100. And it ranges because we did change our methodology of how we allocate the money to schools. So it does change, but I don't have quite the exact per pupil, but this year, for brand new schools opening, we gave them a base of $500 so they could start a program, because remember, we have to be prepared for the kids that are going to enroll, not just the kids we have right now. And then after that, it was allocated per pupil, but I can get that to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear, I'm hearing this right. So it is an allocation per pupil, is that right?
Yes, but remember, they're supplemental funds, so the school is expected to spend any money that they need out of general fund, because federal funds are supplemental.
Right, got it, okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? I have just a quick question. It's a little bit different number, but as opposed to Title III. What about, can you comment to us how Title IX is doing in our state?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
So I only have the information, we might have to get you information, but I only have the information based on student concerns or complaints with Title IX. Jackie Snell, our Director of HR, does staffing issues with Title IX. It's been quiet this year. Schools are expected to have their own process and implementation of the regulations. We are there as a support mechanism if needed. So it has been fairly quiet.
So in our state, has Title IX been a topic of conversation in terms of the trans issue in sports?
We are adhering to state guidance that they require us to do, and we're pushing that out. I'm not privy to any of that information regarding like sports at this moment.
Okay, so no issues, you don't hear of any issues out there on that issue?
Mentioned in the legislature and
Yeah.
the updates there, but we do not hear from our schools pertaining to Title IX as far as athletics go.
Yeah, as far as, okay, thank you. Thank you, Emily.
All
Thank you.
right. And then finally, a congratulatory item. Ms. Diana Kingsbury has completed a year-long South Carolina Department of Education intensive professional development called the Institute for District Administrators. She was a member of Cohort 27. This is one of those programs where it's a great networking event because there are people like you in the room. It's all current district personnel. It's also one of those items where you get out of it as much as you put into it. So it's 2 days back-to-back multiple times throughout the year. So you have to truly be able to unplug and give yourself the grace to get as much out of that program as you can. But the program allows you to, it's a professional development to allow you to hone in on your leadership skills. So I just want to congratulate Ms. Diana Kingsbury for the completion of that program. That's all for me, Mr. Henry.
Thank you, thank you. And now we'll hear from Brad Henry. External Affairs, what's going on out there?
There's lots going on out there, just like in here. Madam Chair, members of the board, I wanted to give you a brief summary of our external school board relations efforts over the last several months. We kind of noticed that establishing relationships with our, we saw a need to establish closer relationships with our school board chairs where we traditionally haven't had those in the past. After all, the charter contract that we have is with the school board and the school board chair. John Payne, who is our former board chair, was brought in on this back in November of 2024 as the chief of external board relations. So far, he's met with over 71% of our school board chairs, explaining the new program and offering any assistance that he can, assistance and also his expertise. Each board chair receives a copy and explanation of the South Carolina Charter School Act, documents on FOIA, and also a short primer on school board fiduciary duties, as well as as well as electronic copies to distribute to all their school board members. We're also in the process of printing sort of you may have seen in the past some of these, the pocket constitution that some organizations give out. That's something you can carry around in your pocket. We're also getting printed copies of the Charter School Act for each not only board chair, but board member that we have across the state, of which there are, I think, 280 to 300 now. While he meets with them, he goes in person normally to meet with them. He discusses specific school financial information, as well as just highlights on their most recent financial audit. Compliance with state and federal regulations, FOIA, and fidelity to the school's charter. So these are all things that, like I said, this is something pretty new for us, and he's made great progress. He's uncovered a lot of things, and just in talking that, you've got to have that relationship with the school board chairs to really understand what's going on there, and finding out some of these things that he was seeing on the financial information. We've discovered lots of issues. Some schools have had issues with their bonds. Some schools have had issues with FOIA compliance and putting the correct materials up on their websites in advance of school board meetings. So this has been a really, really positive thing for our district and something that I wanted to highlight for you today. Another thing I wanted to highlight, and something that I've talked about a little bit in here before, it's been some time since we've done like a district newsletter. We do a couple of newsletters for very specific purposes, but we felt the need in making sure that the public understands the difference between us and other charter school authorizers and just what charter schools are in this state to do a district newsletter. So volume 1 of that came out last month. The things that we're going to highlight each month, what's going on in the legislature, what's going on in our schools. It's called the Kid First News, so we really want to highlight what our schools are up to and all the special and important things that make charter schools unique. As we move along, we'll do additional volumes. We just want to keep the focus on kids and how we as a district are unique and how charter schools are unique. We distribute this to our internal school leaders and school administration. Hopefully you received it in your emails to the board. The press receives copies. All the people that sign up for we have a thing up on Facebook where anybody can sign up for the newsletter. We also distribute it to people that are involved in our Leaders Summit in the fall, some of the sponsors and partners that we have for that. So that was something that we kicked off we're very proud of. The last thing I'll share with you, 2 weeks ago, we welcomed students from Compass and Felton to the State House. We gave them a tour. We took them to meet the governor. You'll see some pictures of that later. They were recognized in the House of Representatives. These were very special trips and something we want to do more of because bringing students in for these learning experiences we think is very crucial, and I think what really makes charter schools special, that we try to do things a little differently. One student I wanted to highlight, this young man, as he was getting off the bus, I was kind of shaking hands with everybody or high-fiving or whatever. He came up to me and said, my grandfather was the prime minister here. And I was like, well, what's your granddad's name? So his granddad is Senator John Matthews that recently I think he retired in maybe 2020 or thereabouts. He was the longest and has been the longest serving African-American member of the House of Representatives, or the entire legislature, Senate and House. He had never been to the State House before. This painting was commissioned and hung right after he retired from the Senate. And, he had never seen this painting, never been to the State House. And so I thought this was just this picture to me just really speaks to why we're a little different, why we do things differently. And the more experiences that we can bring to our students like this, I think the better. Both of these schools had a great day there, but I just really wanted to highlight this one young man and the day and the experience that he had. So, Madam Chair, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's a good conclusion.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
When you talked about external school board relations and meeting with school boards, what happens if you find a school board is dysfunctional or they failed to try to be in compliance?
That's a great question. Each one is unique. All of our schools are so unique, all 44 of our schools, and the boards are very unique as well. Big picture, we work with them. We sit down with them. We try to, we're not there to be a mediator for them or anything like that, but we just try to point out the things that are within our purview that we can help them out with, and try to get them to a good place with whatever it is they're working on. We've met with a lot of the boards over time. There are always going to be kind of differences that are going on at each board across the state, but we really try to take it as a case-by-case basis, see what their issues are, and try to work with them the best we can.
So there's nothing that can be done if they choose not to be in compliance?
Again, like we don't, our boards are autonomous. Our schools all have autonomy, and so
Right.
there's kind of a limit as to what we can do, like for the boards themselves, within their function. We're really just there to provide advice and support as it relates to the school as a whole.
Okay.
And so that we've found that it was kind of a weakness for us in our district's relationship with specifically the board chairs, and just making sure that they know everything that's going on at the school. A lot of time, we found a lot of times the board chair didn't have a complete picture of what was going on with the school financially, in many cases with being proper with FOIA and things like that with board meetings. I mean, there is a kind of a limit to what we can do because they are an autonomous school, but we have found that working with them, they're very appreciative. We brought a lot of things to their attention that they just hadn't known about.
Okay.
And
Hey.
Yeah, Dr. Pope, well, you were doing a good job.
Thank you.
But there is more that we can do. And I know the board you're specifically referring to, without mentioning names. There's a thing called a corrective action plan.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do those. And this particular school board needs a corrective action plan. We have been holding their hand now for 5 years, and they continue to squabble and fight each other and cause a lot of heartburn in the community and for the district. So just know that we're taking care of that situation. There's been a lot of emails flying around and accusations, and it's our job to try to calm the waters, but make sure they understand what their legal responsibilities are, but also just to be kind to each other. Be civil. They're supposed to be servants and leaders in the community, and it sets a bad example for kids.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, that issue, yeah. I just want to, would anybody like to say anything? Yeah. I just, yes.
I have another picture in my mind, and a couple weeks ago, as we speak to the difference between authorizers, I was down at the State House with my grandkids, and my wife was at the State House.
I remember, I saw you there.
And I saw this gentleman leading a flock of kids, right? And he had about 50 little kids behind him. and it was Brad. And so I just want to say with that picture, that's the intentionality and the difference between us as an authorizer. So I just wanted to applaud you in that space.
Thank you. It was a great day. It was a great day for them, but it was, after we took both of the schools on the visits, they were back-to-back days 2 weeks ago. We brought them over to our district office, fed them lunch. The whole staff got to eat lunch with them and interact with them. So, I mean, it was just as rewarding for us. Anytime we can have kids in the building and remind ourselves of why we're here, what we're doing, it's a great thing for all of us. So, thank you.
That's great. That's great. And I just wanted to add that my good friend John Payne, our former chairman, has just had such perfect acumen with things that are objective, not personalities. It's numbers and what needs to add up. And he's just done a great job, and I know a welcomed job because we're dealing with objective things there. And I just want to thank you, John, for leading us for years. I've known him for probably, I think, 8 years, and for taking this such an objective role in this issue with interfacing with our boards across these schools to sharpen their pencils, sharpen their minds, make them aware even more. And he's a great tutor, I think, on this, and we appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. Now, Emily Paul, Strategic Plan.
Good morning. Before I move into my formal presentation, I would also, just to follow up on Brad's work bringing Felton and Compass to our State House, when the students came back to our office, Marlene and Crystal and Teresa organized what we called a Kids First kind of Happy Meal. So they each got a little SC Charter bag that had a sandwich and chips and a drink in there and a little logoed cookie. And they made the PD room really colorful with all of our logoed colored tablecloths and all that. So it was really just a special experience, but I wanted to recognize them for the work they put into that because there were a lot of smiling faces. Alrighty. So I don't normally get to show you pictures, so I'm excited today to show you a couple pictures. The first thing I'm going to highlight in our strategic plan is a commitment meeting we did a few weeks ago that I called Rapid Reflection. I styled this after kind of a speed dating activity. But one of the parts of feedback in our stakeholder feedback for our strategic plan was hearing that our staff really wanted to understand what everybody did. You know that feeling of walking down the hallway and seeing somebody that's not on your team and going, what does that person do? So we've been working really hard to kind of figure that out. And so a couple weeks ago, we brought everybody into the back of this room and we set up 2 lines of chairs. They all came prepared with a 1-minute elevator pitch of what they did for the district, how their work impacted the district. And we took 1 minute, they swapped, and then we kept moving down the rows, and by the end of our hour, everybody had heard this 1-minute elevator pitch of what their colleagues did. I think it was really great. I think we learned a lot there, but we also solidified for ourselves in that elevator pitch, because each time you did it, you got a little bit better at it, about really what are your core elements of your job function here and how do you impact the district. So that's a picture of what was going on there. It was a really fun, kind of rambunctious meeting, but it was good, happy chaos noise. So I appreciated that. So on the screen, you'll see different types of bullets. So the circle bullet is the project, and then the square bullet is the strategic focus area that that project is related to. So the first update I want to give you is our board onboarding project update. That is in alignment with our organizational development strategic focus area. We actually, just on Tuesday, did that project to completion. We brought Mr. Plank in and we did a 2-hour onboarding with him. It was a project that Marlene has been working on for months, just getting all the pieces right, making sure that we were covering what we needed to cover, hopefully not too much, maybe too much, but also not too little. And so that project is completed. That is a process that's memorialized now, so anybody that comes on the board is going to get this full onboarding from us. We're also happy to do it for any of you that feel like you would like it. Just let me know, and we're happy to schedule that. But it was just all information about what the district does, what our roles are, what your roles are, how we interact, everything you could think of. So that one is done. The next is our board survey. So you guys saw after our last meeting a survey that we sent to you about the professional development that you've received and that you would like to receive. Some feedback that we got there, some themes are you would like more training in finance, school finance, charter authorization, maybe a year-long calendar of some key items that are happening on each team. And then I really liked this idea, a board mentor for newcomers. So figuring out somebody on the board that can walk a newcomer through maybe their first year, just act as a mentor. So I really appreciate that, and that will help us plan out next year's calendar of board training. And then last but not least, our vacancy announcement. So we have a goal in our strategic plan to diversify our talent pool. So when we're posting job vacancies, trying to get them out to a variety of organizations to diversify that talent pool. Recently, SCASB got a new executive director, Mr. Daryl Johnson. He has been a great partner, and I reached out to him because SCASA has a job board where they blast out all of their vacancies, and so I reached out to him to say, hey, does SCASB do that? He said he doesn't think so, but he was willing to take all of our vacancies and send it out to his membership. So the 6 vacancies that we had posted, those are all out to the SCABC membership, so we've made progress on that goal as well. That concludes my report, pending any questions. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just wanted to mention the onboarding and that's a terrific project. Thank you for doing it. Every time I get asked about best practices for boards, I always talk about how important that is, and then a good board manual. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Dr. Pope?
I don't think I received the board survey that you said.
Okay, I can send it to you by email. It was a Google form. It was just maybe 7 or so questions a couple weeks ago, but I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I will say I think it was supposed to be 15 minutes, but all my questions made it 2 hours. No, it was perfect timing. It was good. The variety of boards I've served on in the past, and in my 35-plus years in professional business, I'd put it up there as one of the top onboarding processes that there is. So that's encouraging. I think it's very professional. It's a great way to start coming on board with a great team and with such a core value of kids first. That is what I keep seeing and hearing as I go through this. There's that you can tell the culture is about that, is at the spearhead at the point. So I want to applaud you on a job well done, and hopefully I turn out to be an A student from with all of this. We shall see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. Superintendent Neely.
All right, well, I hate you have to look at me first thing. We've done a lot today, and it's not all easy. It's hard. I don't want to belabor what I said earlier, as I frequently say with the staff, beat a dead horse. But the reality is accountability is hard. And I know some folks left today that were, not happy. And I understand that. I think if we try to stand on their side of the street corner, we can have empathy for their feelings and their thoughts. And I just want the board to know that we're going to continue to be cooperative partners in the accountability process because, it takes two to see success, and we're committed to supporting all of these partners and all of our schools who are struggling. We want them all to go from good to great. But we appreciate your commitment to accountability and transparency. Craig, welcome to the board. Really, really pleased to have you as a member of the Board of Trustees. And I knew from the first moment I met you a year and a half ago that you had a kid's first heart. I knew that. And you bring a wealth of business experience and traditional school district board governance experience that will benefit this district for many years to come. And so we appreciate the partnership and friendship. We also are very pleased that we can continue to build relations with the School Board Association. And Scott Price has been a great partner already. And I know that there's some of their members who still have heartburn with charter schools, but I think we're making progress. So look forward to serving with you.
Thank you.
Diana, Josh, congratulations. Appreciate the accomplishments. Speaks volumes, you know, when employees get promoted and when employees take the extra time and commitment to achieve personal, professional success. And I think we should always recognize that. Susan, great job today in your presentation. You spent a lot of time at the mic today. We said last month to the board we want to get more staff up here in front of the mic, give them the opportunity to share the good works that they're doing, and to also just give them that professional experience of getting up in front of a microphone at a podium and get the questions. It helps develop them as leaders. A couple weeks ago, we testified in the Senate for our budget. The Senate continues to go through that process. We always are very appreciative of the opportunity to be able to meet with the governor's office and testify on the House and Senate side. That's something unique for our district that other superintendents don't get a chance to do, and we don't take that honor lightly. We really respect what goes on over there in that process, and for them to give us a voice on behalf of all the children we serve. A couple weeks ago, I was also over at Liberty. I had a chance to swear in some new board members over there. And these are some of their ambassadors. And I tell you, those kids over there in Sumter, they've just got it going on and so much success and so much growth. And I tell you, when you look at a local school governance model in South Carolina, Liberty STEAM Charter School is doing it the right way. And I think a lot of charter schools in South Carolina could learn from what's going on over there in Sumter at Liberty. Last week, the Charter Alliance had their leadership summit, and many of the staff were there to participate and to collaborate with other authorizers and other charter schools, but then also leaders in our own district. So always look forward to being with other charter school supporters and school choice advocates. As you know, we're a Purple Star district, and April is the month of the military child, and we were able to participate with Governor McMaster and Secretary McCaffrey at the State House. All of these students are from Liberty, and they're all military kids. They brought all their military kids. As you know, Shaw Air Force Base is there in Sumter, and the governor declared the month Military Child Appreciation Month. And so we really enjoyed that and had some really good conversations with some of the base commanders that were there. And we're looking forward to an upcoming meeting with the base commander at Joint Base down in Charleston. They want to talk with us about Palmetto Scholars Academy, but also what can we do to really increase the partnership between us and them. And you heard Brad talk about the visits by Felton and Compass. These are the Compass students, and the governor, you know, we thought we were only going to get like a minute of his time, and he ended up spending about 20 minutes with these students because they had so many questions and so many good questions. And I have no doubt that we've got a lot of future governors in that crowd. And the governor was just the give and take was funny. I just love it. And they said, well, how much do you make? And, you know, why don't you drive? And I mean, they were just, I mean, the governor just played with it. I mean, they just they asked like real questions, like, you know, those are good questions.
Like, where are your dogs?
Yeah. Usually he has the dogs with him.
Right.
Yeah. And then Felton, you know, such a historic school, and Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter recognized them on the floor of the House, and they were up in the gallery and were able to be recognized. And there's not a picture of her. I have a picture with her, but there was a lady from Orangeburg that was recognized. They called her Miss Minnie, and it was her 100th birthday. And Gilda Cobb, when she was recognized in the school, they all recognized Miss Minnie. And so I made a point of going up and seeing Miss Minnie and talking to her and getting a photo with her. But Miss Minnie was waiting outside the governor's office after they were recognized in the House chamber. And our students were lined up to go in the governor's office. Well, they did an impromptu and sang happy birthday to Miss Minnie. And it was so inspirational. And Miss Minnie, I mean, she just had tears coming out of her eyes with those young scholars singing her happy birthday right there outside the governor's office. And it was Miss Minnie's first time ever going to our South Carolina State House. Wow. And those kids just sounded beautiful singing to her. And so I got a picture now I can always have of me and Miss Minnie. And remember that moment when she was celebrated for her life and all that she's had to overcome in 100 years. One of the things that we've continued to do this year is have our regional innovation meetings. We call it the RIM meetings. And we go around the state and we host our school leaders in those regions. And we'll tackle a problem of practice. And it's been just such a great learning opportunity for us to hear firsthand from our school leaders in a smaller setting the issues that they're dealing with, but then, to come up with solutions from their colleagues that lead other schools. And so this was the one that we had down at Low Country Montessori School, and really had a great meeting down there. Some of the big issues that came out of this meeting was absenteeism. There is a serious problem with absenteeism, and not just with students, staff, teachers. And so we're going to look to see what we can do to support these schools down there with both student and teacher staff absenteeism. That's a problem. If a teacher doesn't come to school, who's going to teach the child? One of these schools, and I'm not going to name them out loud, but they had 27 teachers out on one day. 27. How do you operate? So it's a problem, and we need to tackle it, and that was a new issue for us. We knew about the student absentee problems, and there's a lot of innovative things going on out there. I know Liberty STEAM's got some things they do to really get parents engaged, but we're going to have to fix that problem because the child if the child's going to show up, then they should have a good teacher to show up as well. Last week we were up in the upstate at Spartanburg Prep, and we had a RIM meeting there, and had a really good discussion with everyone there, and had some good conversation about what's going on in Washington and the executive orders and the Department of Ed, and funding is always an issue. We had a big conversation about transportation, and just appreciate the voices of these leaders and their willingness to collaborate with and help each other. And then last week, I was up at High Point, and I always like to sit down with the kindergartners, and I'm still a kindergartner at heart. And the little girl that's showing me how to spell, I sat down for probably about 15 minutes, and I needed to get up. And she said, "Why are you leaving? Why can't you just stay in kindergarten?" And that was a good question, because I wish I could have stayed in kindergarten. Although when I was in kindergarten, I don't remember learning how to spell. I think we just played and ate and slept. But kindergarten's changed a lot since then. Just a few other things that I wanted to share with you. We had participation at the Skies Gala last Friday, and got to see our good friend Molly Spearman be recognized and honored. Dr. Jarita Postawait from Lexington 1 was honored. Some former South Carolina high school graduates were honored, both of which work at NASA and literally put people into space. And I thought that was a neat recognition to bring back high school graduates and where they are in the world today in terms of science and business and exploration. So that was wonderful. The other day, John S. Payne and I, we call him PD Payne, we went over and visited Pace, and really for more of a meeting to talk with their board chair and their school leader about their finances. And you know, as John continues to really look at the financials for all of these schools, the weight is heavy. The facility cost continues to wreak havoc on some of these schools. And you dealt with that earlier today already with a school that just didn't have the numbers and couldn't produce the revenue. And I am hopeful that the General Assembly will do something to really level the playing field for charter schools. We appreciate the funding formula more than you know. And that's made a difference. And it's made a difference for our pupils in poverty and our students with disabilities with those increased weights. But there's no facility support. There's no transportation support. There's no funding for food or technology, really. So, you know, we're being asked to do so much out of about $10,000 per child. In a traditional district, their per pupil is about $15,000. Well, $5,000 makes a big difference where I come from. And so we're going to continue to have conversation with the General Assembly and the governor about what they can do to kind of level the playing field for charter schools. You know, we can't give up on this model, and we're surely not, but we got to have the support of the state so that our schools can properly provide the instruction and the environment and the transportation and the food that other kids get in other districts. So pending any questions, that's the end of my brief.
Any questions? Did you have a question? Chris, do you get a sense, this is kind of a from the heart question, the issue of transportation for low-income students is critical. You have parents getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and having to be at work at a whatever time, and they have, it is really a significant barrier to children having access to a good charter school. And I don't see, the good news about the bad news is, I don't see how there's no comeback argument to that. I'm not talking about money, but I'm talking about after a certain geographical circle from a school, parents who are having to get up so early to get to work, they cannot get their children to what might be the best academic opportunity they have. And so probably this thing about transportation, it's never been there, it's never been there, so sometimes people just think, okay, it's supposed to never be there. But that just can't be the case. Because realities change, and these schools are needed by these children. They are needed. And when I see, you know, my children, my daughter has 3 children now, and just the idea of even getting them out the door is a lot, much less the concept of working, shift working, whatever type of working. So to me, I think that the general, that's got to be a tug on the heart of the General Assembly, because they have no access. It's an issue of access.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, you know, we would love to be able to do more in the corridor of opportunity, but it's hard. When you don't get money for facilities and you don't get money for transportation, it's hard to go to, you know, underserved areas the way we would like to. I mean, we want to. That's the heart of what we're all about here, and closing the achievement gap for those kids and giving those children choice, right. True choice.
Right.
But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I think back when I went to Afghanistan, and obviously I'd never seen anything like that before, but I was fortunate the job that I had in civil affairs, because we were going into these war-torn villages, and we were literally building schools in a country that looked like biblical times. And yet we were able to go in and build schools in communities like that. And yet, we can't, as a state, focus on about 15 counties in our state that are underserved, that don't have the infrastructure, the focus. Our state's talking about putting casinos down in Orangeburg, and we're not willing to have a conversation about infrastructure for those families. We're not serious about talking about, providing quality education in schools in those communities. And that's all types of schools. Charter schools, traditional schools, private schools. So I think our priorities sometimes are kind of messed up. I mean, as a state.
Yes.
That's my personal opinion. But here at the district, our priorities are all focused on putting kids first. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to overcome the obstacles. We're going to be creative. We're going to be innovative. And we're going to find solutions because we're determined to go into those communities and provide those kids what they deserve.
Totally right. That's totally right. And I thank you for your passion on it. And that's just going to be an increased need as we go forward. Yes,
Yeah,
Dr.
I see it at both extremes because where I live, when I ask students about and parents about not going to the charter schools that are available to them, transportation is not the issue. The issue is not being able to be enrolled. They don't have access to schools. Sometimes they apply and they can't get in because there's not a slot for them. There are children who they get picked because they have a brother or sister that's already at that school. So I think we need to look at that too, because sometimes it's not just that they can't get there, sometimes they can get there, but they're not allowed to go.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Access.
And that's where, too, we have to hold these school boards accountable
Right.
to ensure they're following the law when it comes to the lottery, and ensuring that they're, following their charter with the district.
Right.
And that's also why the district supports the current preference bill that's, currently before the Senate that would expand more opportunities for charter schools to open doors for more kids.
More.
But we've got a lot of work to do there, but part of that is compliance with the charter and the law. And if you have specific examples of where maybe a charter school's not complying, please share that with me offline.
Okay.
Because that's a conversation that needs to be had. Everybody needs to be playing by the same rules.
Right.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, well, now, are you concluded?
Yes, ma'am, that's the
Okay.
end of my report.
Thank you. And really, again, your speech was just outstanding. And I'm sure it was taped. It should have been taped. So now we will take a motion for adjournment. Motion, second to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor? All in favor of lunch, indicate by saying aye. Okay, thank you.
We have Moe's today.
Oh, good. That's
What?
That's good. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Okay.